The power of the universe on one hand, the power of the individual on the other. Which will you choose? Today I'll be looking at the right-hand path versus the left-hand path, God versus Satan. Let's go. Love and light, death and darkness. What's up, friends? I'm Jordan from Grimwire. So left hand, right hand, they're both hands. What's the big deal? What's going on here? It's actually a really hot topic in the magical and spiritual community, and it's one of the biggest dividers among us there is. And really it's a shame because there's merit in both sides and they're both absolutely necessary. But for some reasons, people feel like they have to choose. I do think people naturally gravitate towards one side or the other more, but that's completely cool because most people are still pretty balanced, or at least see the general merit in moving towards balance. But the extremes are pretty extreme, even up to the threat of like wars on a spiritual level and massive deaths and destruction and all of this. Now, luckily for the most part, I think 99% of that is just pseudo-religious blabber, so that's nothing to worry about. But you do gotta admit that the extremes are pretty extreme. The right-hand path is about coming into contact and experiencing that which is all, which is God, which is the universe, which is source. It's about finding that spark of divinity within yourself and growing on that and growing into the person that you're meant to be. Those on the right-hand path draw on the power of the universe and have faith that the universe will take care of them. And they understand the power of universal love, or agape. A large part of the right-hand path is about expanded consciousness, or the belief that by practicing compassion and empathy, you can actually expand your awareness and expand your consciousness, which leads to understanding of the universe and how it works. Now, the left-hand path is about coming to terms with humanity, discovering and confronting the flaws within yourself in an effort to overcome them. People on the left-hand path realize that we can't run from things that are bad, so therefore we should embrace them, as long as you take responsibility for them. People on the left-hand path draw their energy from simply being a being, from having life force. They call on their own energy, the deep powers of the human subconscious. Through this confronting of the darkness and working with themselves, they rise and grow into a full being, one that's capable of appreciating both the good and the bad in life. Now, obviously, there's a lot of wiggle room here. I'm just describing how I usually see people use the terms. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, can I be both? Then yes, you're exactly right. You should be. Because a lot of toxicity comes from people who lean too heavily to one side or the other. Ever seen that guy in the comments making evil, accusatory comments, saying things that like demons and Lucifer and Satan is out there ruining the world? Yeah, you know, because people are dying of hunger and poverty and oppression, but yeah, the problem's religious practices, you're right. And yet, on the other side, much more hidden in the shadows, are people who actually do practices with the intention of causing harm to others. They may be overindulgent to the point of actually harming themselves, or they may, you know, feed off of other people's energies. Now, there's still a difference between, you know, like evil sacrificing babies, or even saying that these energies are common enough to actually like worry about and place on a, you know, world's less worry about list. The real harm is condoning toxic behavior as spirituality, which is definitely common on the right-hand path side as well. In my opinion, only one thing's for sure, and that's that both are necessary. My favorite quote from Aleister Crowley's Liber Sati, Vel Amis Hermeticus is, "Many have arisen, being wise. They have said, seek out the glittering image in the place ever golden, and unite yourselves with it. Many have arisen, being foolish. They have said, stoop down into the darkly splendid world and be wedded to that blind creature of the slime. I, who am beyond wisdom and folly, arise and say unto you, achieve both weddings, unite yourselves with both. Beware, beware, I say, lest ye seek after the one and lose the other. My adepts stand upright, their head above the heavens, their feet below the hells. But since one is naturally attracted to the angel, another to the demon, let the first strengthen the lower link, then attach more firmly to the higher." And I think that's really important because it's not saying, I'm not saying to take the two and then meet in the middle. It's saying to fully explore both. I'm saying that both are necessary. In my own personal experience, that manifests as me working with both Christ and Lucifer. Whether or not it's a story or if it's exaggerated or whatever the case is, if you look at the themes without getting all religious on it, Christ represents unconditional love, sacrifice, understanding, and wisdom. You'll see it's about a man who goes into a capital city and causes such a ruckus with his teachings about love and your personal relationship with God that the government sees no other choice but to kill him. And he knew it was going to happen. He knew what the cost was, but he decided to do it anyway. And I think that's awesome. And I think that's an inspiration. And I think that's an energy that's missing in this world. But as we can see, sometimes God gets idolized to the point of being unrecognizable. How many people have been killed in the name of God, have been disowned from their families, have been tortured or institutionalized or mutilated in the name of God? And it's disgusting. The fact is, no matter how much some of us would like to believe, evil acts can be committed in the name of God. We're bound to never have a scientific consensus of that source. Therefore, it's bound to be misrepresented. No matter how close we come, there's going to be some people who go off the wall with it. And so if you're one of the types of people who ask yourself, with all this talk about God, why does it feel like the light is missing? And that light, that idea of true justice, of true support, of true acceptance, is the light of Lucifer. Unless we're willing to question God, willing to question tradition, and seek within us our own answers, what does it mean to be human? What are these dark areas inside myself? What am I capable of? What does it mean to indulge in passion? Where are the lines? These are important questions, and if you never seek these within yourself, you're just idolizing somebody else's concept of the divine. No matter how high your highs get, unless you learn to swim in the abyss of the lows, then you're bound to never be in any sort of control whatsoever. So as Aleister Crowley, that crazy son of a gun, said, live with your head in the heavens and your feet in the hells. If I had to sum it up, it would just be, always try to do your best, but don't be afraid to be your freaky self. If you're new to my videos, please hit that subscribe button and click that little bell. If you've been around for a few videos now, go ahead and leave your thoughts on the content down below. I know some people are definitely recommending more towards the left-hand path side of things, and I definitely got some content coming up in that direction over the next few weeks here. Anyways, thanks very much, friends. I'll see you around.